Hey, this is Pete Jones with Good in the Head. I'm glad that you're checking out these videos on YouTube, and I hope that you find something that's worthy of sharing with somebody that you love or care about. Today, I wanted to speak a little bit about antidepressants and mood stabilizers and my experience with them. Years and years ago, I worked up in Salt Lake City for a company called Handyvan for a really great lady. She was amazing. She was a lawyer. She owned an art gallery. And this company that I worked for, driving non-emergency handicapped transportation. I loved that job and the people that I met there. And this lady really quickly earned my respect because she wasn't even supposed to live to the age of 2, let alone 52 when I knew her then. She had spinal bifida and a lot of physical complications that came along with that. And because I respected her so much, one day after working 2 months straight with no days off and no less than 15 hours a day, I was exhausted. I came in, I was grumpy. I was probably throwing a temper tantrum about something stupid. And she looked at me and she said, you're really moody. And how I perceived that, the way that she said it, I thought, oh, well, that's a bad thing. And at the time, it bothered me all day that day. And so I went home, talked to my wife at that time, and said, well, what do you think? Should I go to the doctor and see if maybe there's something wrong with me? There's a reason why I'm moody, And looking back, obviously I was just exhausted. But at the time, I thought that maybe I should go get checked out. So I did. And the doctor said, oh, I got a fix for that, no problem at all. Let's just go ahead and we'll put you on Prozac. And I was like, Prozac, never heard of that. And he goes, well, it'll fix you right up. Trust me, it's all the new rage. Everybody's taking it that is depressed, and that's what I think is wrong with you. And I'm like, oh, depression? Oh man, and I always looked at that as, oh my gosh, it's a bad thing. I must be bad. I'm depressed. And so I started taking Prozac. And what it did to me is for the next 2 months, I didn't sleep more than 4 hours. It opened up a new part of my brain that I'd never been able to use before and kind of closed off the old parts that I was using. And I almost became superhuman. It was an anomaly that I wasn't expecting, and neither were the doctors. I didn't go back to the doctor for a few months, but things changed drastically. And after a while, my wife at the time was telling me, wow, you're like Superman. You can literally do anything. This is amazing. And I was kind of freaking out because what happened is, since I was only sleeping 4 hours a day at the very most, and I had a huge loss of appetite, I started to lose a lot of weight. I didn't need to eat as much, and I started thinking a lot more in depth about everything. My neighbor knew a lot about computers, and back then they were just coming out. It took thousands of dollars to own a computer back then. And he said, well, hey, if you got a little bit of money, I can help you build one. So we built a computer. I learned how to use it very quickly. He installed some software on there. I started making web pages. I started a nonprofit organization. Started an online web building business for other businesses that already existed that were wanting to get onto the internet because it was a new thing back then. I quit my job and started a new job and began school full-time to become a computer engineer. And I didn't know anything about any of these things. I just had all these incredibly lofty ideals and things that I wanted to accomplish, and a lot of extra time in which to do it. And so one day, it all came crashing down. I wasn't getting enough sleep, no nutrition whatsoever. I just wasn't eating anymore. And I had lost a good 60 pounds within just a few months, and it was unhealthy. I should have probably gone to the doctor and gotten checked out. But what happened instead is one day, out of blue, for no reason, I just wanted to die. And that had never happened to me before. I've never even thought about suicide or ending my life. And that day, not, I didn't have a plan to or anything. I just went out and bought a gun and tried to do it. And it freaked me out. I got the help that I needed. And the doctor said, "Oh, well, because you acted like this, you must be bipolar." And immediately stuck me on some mood stabilizers. And I proceeded for the next 15 years to try over 20 different antidepressants, a couple different mood stabilizers, Depakote, Depakine, ended up on lithium for a long time. And all of these things took a toll on my mind, my body, my liver, everything, and had some pretty negative adverse effects in my life, and made me into a person that I didn't want to be. And I became lazy, apathetic, uncaring, kind of dead inside, literally. I wasn't thinking straight anymore. I felt very exhausted and tired all the time, lethargic. And slowly, each day, for about 15 years, no matter how hard I fought it, the lack of discipline, and everything that came along as side effects from these medications took a toll. And I was literally suicidal for 15 years. And finally, I was married to another woman, and she helped me so much. She got me the help that I needed. And she asked me a question that really made me think. She said, "In 15 years, none of this has helped you. Why are you still doing it?" And it was kind of my little wake-up call. It was my aha moment that came through her. And I realized she's right. And so she did some asking around, a little bit of research, and some other people had similar experiences to mine. And at the time, I was furious for her for sharing my story, for making it known, that I was this imperfect person. I felt like an imposter in my own body. I really loathed and hated myself at the time in general. And I felt like this wasn't her story to tell, but I'm so grateful that she did, because she found all natural medication that I've been taking since 2014. It's called Q96 Empower Plus. If you're interested in something that's all natural, and you're on medications and they're not working for you, definitely worth trying out. I ended up going to see my psychiatrist at the time, and I told him, "Look, I really appreciate all of your help. I was wondering if there's anything that I need to know while I transition off of these meds, the antidepressant and the lithium, to this Q96 Empower Plus." And he immediately became furious with me, which was not expected. He told me to leave his office, and that if I wasn't going to do what he had planned for me to help me, that he would no longer help me in any way, and literally was yelling and swearing and kicked me out of his office. And it was surprising. I didn't expect that, and I still don't understand why it went that way, but I left confused and still determined to at least try something that might work. Whereas the medications that I'd been taking for 15 years at that time just weren't working at all. To be suicidal for that long and not want to be alive, and not be living this beautiful life that we can be living, that was sad, and that was a huge waste of my life. So I'm grateful that I got the help that I needed from some really key people that I feel were placed in my life at the perfect time. My son and I were watching the movie Limitless last night with Bradley Cooper, and I was describing to him after the movie that the Prozac was in many ways like that pill that he was taking on Limitless. It made me feel invincible, smarter. It made me feel like I could do anything. And the opposite of that, of course, was the mood stabilizers. They are meant to stabilize our moods, and I really don't know that that was what I needed personally. There are a lot of people out there that benefit from these medications, and I'm not saying that all mood stabilizers or antidepressants are a bad thing. I'm not anti-pharmaceuticals, but I'm glad that I was able to find some natural supplements that work a lot better for me than anything else that I'd ever tried in that 15-year period. So as we were going through the movie and watching it, it was interesting to see a lot of similarities to Bradley Cooper's experiences and my experiences on Prozac back in the day. And I was telling my son, after 2014, I found a natural way to enhance and optimize my life and my mind. And what I did at the time, I had to start completely over with nothing but the clothes that I had. And I decided that I wanted to make a lasting and a real positive change in my life. I didn't want to be who I had become anymore. And so I came across Jim Rohn, who said, that success leaves clues, and so does failure. And he said that if you want to have the same success in life that others have had, then really dive deep into what they've done to achieve that success. What do they eat? What do they wear? Are there commonalities amongst the successful? Is there a golden thread that intertwines throughout their lives and connects them in some way that makes them all achieve this wealth and success in their life? And so I started doing some research. Found Tony Robbins, Tom Bilyeu and his wife Lisa, Ed Milet, Lewis Howes, and all their podcasts and their shows on YouTube started to dive deep. And another one was Tim Ferriss. He wrote a book called Tribe of Mentors. And I think that Tim Ferriss was also doing something similar, where he asked thousands of people 11 questions through email and compiled all of their best responses and then put that into a book. And he was wondering, what makes all these people successful? And there was a commonality that almost all of them shared, a daily practice that each of them habituated into their lives. And it was meditation. And there were some others as well. There were just habits, a morning routine, certain things that each of these people would do on a daily basis, certain questions they would ask themselves. And so over the years, I've been trying a lot of different things that these people have done. I would do it for a month or two at a time. And if I liked it and it worked for me, I would keep it. If it didn't really float my boat, then I would move on to the next thing. And it's been a lot of fun. But I was telling my son, there are natural ways. We don't need a pill to save us. We don't need a pill to be better. And we talked about the word change. And I've always wanted to change and become better. And what I've realized, another common belief that all of these highly successful people, not all of them, most of them really do have, is that all we need to do is be that which is inside us, that energy, that power, the spirit, the vibrational energy level, whatever you want to call it, that leaves us when we die. That comes from somewhere. And in that one way, we're all one. We're all connected and intertwined together. If you've ever heard, we're all cut from the same cloth. It's almost as though, we are a part of the universe, or a part of a one being or a God. And we all have that same thing inside of us. And when we become more, become better through this tool that we call the body, through using it in certain ways, the way we eat and drink, our exercise, how we manage our energy levels, the habits that we practice, the disciplines that we decide to use to make this body healthier in order to access that greatness within. That's the trick, that's the key. And through consistency in discipline and good habits, a great morning routine, I really believe that that is an excellent natural way to slowly but surely, continuously and consistently access more and more of that greatness that is within us all. My message to everybody is you are perfect the way you are now, today, and you can become better every day consistently for the rest of your life through habituating certain things so that you're able to more easily access that which is already within you. I think it was Rumi that said, all that we seek is already within us. All the ancient wise men have always shared these same messages for thousands of years now. And in this day and age when we are so over-informed with all these incredible sources of intelligence and knowledge, we become inundated and kind of distracted with too much information. But when it comes down to it, it's truly the wisdom that is passed down or learned or accessed that makes for a great life. And it's more simple than all of that knowledge and intelligence out there. All of that is about knowing more. But I think that wisdom is truly about doing more. And I think that the more that we do for ourselves, the more it shows that we hold ourselves in a high regard or a high esteem. And the more we're able to learn to love ourselves, the better we're able to love others. And that love just keeps going round and round. And that's exciting. Down below in the comments, I'm going to put a link to my website, Good in the Head, and also a link to the Good in the Head Habit Hacking Challenge, where you can see some of the habits that I've been researching over the years and implementing and habituating in my own life and experimenting with. And try some of the stuff out. If it works for you, cool, keep using it every day for the rest of your life, and access that greatness that is within you in your own way. We're all unique individuals, and we can all personalize this experience in life by seeing what works for us as an individual and continuing to use that every single day for the rest of our lives to be and do more. And as we do, this world will become a better place. I hope you have found this video to be entertaining or at least informative. And if there's anything you come across, whether it be on my website or somebody else's, that's wisdom that you can share, just like Simon Sinek says, together is better. We're all in this together. So let's make this world a better place together, and let's create for ourselves and the ones we love an incredible life using habits and discipline and accessing that greatness within. Have a great day.